What is up, people? You are listening in to New Generation Hero Talk. I am your host, EJ Stewart. We have a great show lined up for you guys today. Of course, we'll be talking plenty about Peacemaker, which is entering its finale week next week. We're 7 episodes in. It's been a crazy journey during this season 2 of Peacemaker, so we'll be talking about that. We'll also be giving you guys a little bit of a preview of New York Comic Con. Myself, Kendall, Shamari, all will be in attendance at Comic-Con. Really excited about that. We got some Spider-Man, a brand new day news. We got some Batman news for both the Batman and Brave and the Bold. And of course, we'll be talking plenty about Avengers Doomsday. So a lot to get to on this show. Excited to be back here doing Hero Talk. Shout out to my co-host and welcome back to my co-host, starting with Shamari Stewart. Sham, Comic-Con week coming up next week. How you feeling?
Oh man, very excited. Very excited. Always a fun week, man. It'll be good. Obviously seeing you, of course. Seeing you and Kendall hanging out, so that's always a good time. Yeah, for of course our show, we got a lot of stuff. So we got some better stuff actually this year than in many recent years. We got, of course, we're going to be talking about this Marvel panel that we have coming up, so that's very exciting.
Prayers to your boy. Prayers to your boys. Hope they get in. We'll talk about what happened with the panel selection later. But yes, Marvel panel should be very exciting.
Yeah, we would definitely get into that. But yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to report on the next show.
Yep, Shamari's here. Kendall also in the house. Kendall, what's happening, man?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, excited, super excited for New York Comic Con coming up. We'll go more in depth on that. But like you guys said, we've missed a lot of really big stories. I mean, DC is rolling right now. A lot of stuff involving Batman on both fronts, DCU and Reeves, Matt Reeves, the Batman. And then obviously, I mean, look, Peacemaker right now is the thing that's currently going in this space. I mean, we did have a Marvel Zombies drop. Can't say I watched it. I can't really say I will watch it, to be honest. Maybe not. We'll see. I still got to finish What If Season 2, Season 3. So we'll see what happens there. But Peacemaker's had quite the run, and it's certainly, I think, made waves. It's not like it's breaking the internet in terms of popularity or anything like that. But, obviously there's some stuff that's happened that's been, that's maybe broke the internet on some level. And then just, I think from a quality perspective, the people that are watching it are all singing its praises. So I'm excited to talk about Peacemaker as well.
Yeah, definitely got to get into Peacemaker because, as you mentioned, for a show that definitely for season 1 maybe felt very contained. This one, definitely not as contained. Definitely extending its tentacles into the DCU movie world. And we'll talk plenty about what's been going on with Peacemaker as we enter again finale week for that one. So this is again New Generation Hero Talk, plenty to get to. But let's begin talking about Avengers Doomsday. There's been a lot of news over the past couple of weeks. Among some of the things that we've seen, number one, Channing Tatum coming out. He's going to be playing Gambit in this movie. He's an officially announced casting, which has kind of become a conversation about the people who have been officially announced and then the people who have not been announced but will be making appearances in the movie. So Channing Tatum's Gambit will be in this movie, and he recently said in an interview that the cameos and surprises in this movie far outweigh what came in the movie that he was in the movie that he debuted in the MCU, Deadpool and Wolverine. You'll remember he was, of course, Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. That was not something that was announced. Neither was Elektra, played by Jennifer Garner. Neither was Wesley Snipes, played by Wesley Snipes playing Blade. None of those things were announced. They did come as pretty big surprises, especially the Wesley Snipes Blade character appearing in that movie. He says that the surprises that came in this movie are much bigger than Blade appearing in Deadpool and Wolverine, which would, considering how shocking that was and that being maybe one of the biggest storylines coming out of that movie, that's obviously a pretty big deal. Now, this is a much bigger ensemble cast, a much bigger scale movie, but nonetheless, very interesting to hear that Channing Tatum say this is going to be a lot of surprises. Fans are in for a big treat. Also, some other stuff I saw. There's some reporting out there about some of those characters like I talked about who have not been announced, but reportedly could have big roles. So there's apparently a big four that we should be keeping an eye on. Number one, Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. Maybe not as surprising considering he's done a lot of multiverse stuff. Number two, Tiana Parrish, Monica Rambeau. Again, not that surprising considering last time we saw her in the Marvels, she was literally left in another universe with the X-Men. Also, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel character. Maybe not as surprising, well, considering her ties to Monica Rambeau. And the fourth one, maybe a little more surprising because we haven't heard much from this character. But if you remember the Sophie character from Loki, who we've not really seen since we watched Loki, she also has a big role apparently in this film. And lastly, there's one other thing we'll probably get to in the segment. Keep an eye out for one Ghost Rider to make a debut reportedly in this film as well. Ghost Rider is not going to be Nicolas Cage, according to the reporting that's been out there. But the rumors are that Ghost Rider could be making an appearance, and it could be as early as Doomsday, as we get ready for both Doomsday and Secret Wars over the next couple years. There's also reporting that we could be looking at a trailer for this movie, a first trailer coming out with Avatar. Avatar comes out in December of this year. Of course, we got December of next year to wait for Doomsday. That could be the time where we see a Avengers Doomsday trailer. So a lot there, Shamari. Excuse me, Shamari, to tackle. Of those things, what's one of the things that stand out to you about what you've been hearing in terms of the reporting regarding and the rumor mill and the leaks and whatever the scoopers that you've been hearing about Doomsday?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that that Channing Tatum quote, and that kind of made me wonder because I'm like, okay, I mean, we know we're supposed to be getting X-Men. I mean, what's crazier than X-Men that we know we're getting? It's not even the thing that maybe we'll get them. So yeah, I think getting like the Sophie character from Loki is a pretty nice surprise. I was not expecting that. I'll be completely honest. Um, the other characters I pretty much thought could be in it. Tiana Paris is Monica Rambeau and uh, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, and then Cumberbatch is Strange. I thought those characters, I would have gave them like a 60-40, 70-30.
Sorry, I said Sophie. It's Sylvie. Sorry, Sylvie is the character.
Oh,
Sophia.
Sylvie.
Actor,
Yeah,
yes, actress
yeah.
Sophia.
Sophia DiMartino is of course the actor.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yes.
The name is
Yes,
so,
yes.
names are so close. I was like, wait a minute, is it Sophia? So it's Sylvie.
Yes, yeah, Sylvie from Loki. But yeah, Ghost Riders kind of made the ears perk. That's one where it's like, okay, that would be a very big surprise. Um, for me, it's like, okay, if we get a Ghost Rider, of course, the question is who, like, what is he doing? Like, I know this is like Doomsday, so like, where's Ghost Rider?
Are we getting Gabriel Luna?
That's the other question. First of all, and I was gonna get to that too. Like Gabriel Luna, I don't think it's gonna be Gabriel Luna. Hopefully it is, but I don't think it's gonna be Gabriel Luna.
His brother's a hot name in Disney right now, so who knows?
Yeah. And I mean, for me, Gabriel Luna is kind of like he's like the floor of probably like how good this Ghost Rider should be. Because Gabriel Luna's Ghost Rider was like that was like the best Ghost Rider. That was an amazing Ghost Rider. That was an amazing Ghost Rider for like a
And
TV
that was
Rider.
him. That was him playing Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider
Yeah.
in Avengers. Excuse me, in Agents of Shield.
Yes. Which do we know if this is going to be Johnny Blaze or Robbie Reyes? Is that mentioned at all?
I think
That's a good
the
question.
assumption is it's going to be Johnny Blaze.
The assumption has been it's going to be Blaze. Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, in terms of quality, I think that last Ghost Rider we got is probably the floor for me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what's fascinating me is we also had that, they had like wrapped shooting, which I guess was, to me, felt kind of early, but given that the movie's coming out in December, obviously they can do reshoots and stuff. And they had like a wrap party, and they had that bag that was dropped at the wrap party, that
Yeah.
leaked, quote unquote. But like, I don't know, it didn't feel like a leak. It felt like felt like Marvel, intentionally like wanted to like make it seem like a leak to almost like get
Yeah.
people, oh wow, we got our first look,
Yeah.
because I don't know if there's anybody that's worked on a Marvel set for like more than a day that felt the they had the chutzpah to decide to drop that thing,
Yeah,
without
and then
Marvel
someone to take
approval.
out the phone and start snapping pics. Like they might
Yeah,
think their
just
Yeah.
take
phone might
pictures
be
of this
broken.
thing with all these character designs. So it's probably a well placed leak by Marvel, but regardless, um, that picture and it was very curious because like you guys mentioned, like there's just certain characters that we may have thought were in the movie. That picture was mostly the characters from the chairs, right? I don't know if there were
Yep.
anybody that were in the chairs that weren't in that picture, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know if there's people that were in that picture that weren't. I guess Franklin Richards may be the only one. The kid that we assumed was Franklin Richards in that picture was not in the actor was not in the chairs, but otherwise, for the most part, all those characters were. And so, um, my question is like in that picture, like you mentioned, we didn't get Doctor Strange, right? We didn't get um Brie Larson. We didn't get Ruffalo. Obviously, you mentioned Tiana Paris as well. A big one that we didn't get that we at this point pretty much know is in the movie is Chris Evans, right? Chris Evans and I guess
Yeah.
Haley Atwell to a lesser degree, but like Chris Evans is another character that I feel like is. And I think I read a report this week also that's role is kind of being is going to be kept secret to some extent, but that will have a big role.
Yeah. I've seen
And
that as
that
well.
and that ties into the trailer to me because again we're getting a trailer in a couple months allegedly, and which I think is a smart strategy. I think they gotta do everything they can to drum up as much hype as early as possible. But like, how do you market this film? This trailer may just be a Robert Downey Jr. centric, just show off the Doom costume
Yeah.
and show a couple of characters. Probably gonna be more of a teaser. But like when we like really get into marketing this film, probably by Comic-Con of next year, like San Diego, you know, I'm guessing the characters that we got on the bag and in the chairs are the characters that will be heavily featured in the marketing of this film.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I wonder, is that a mistake? Not from a story standpoint, right? I mean, creatively, hold back as much as you want. I don't have a problem with that. But me and Shamari on our podcast last week, talking Star Wars Imperial broadcast, we got into the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer that came out this week and how it just didn't have a whole lot in it. And that, like, yeah, if you're a casual fan that doesn't really watch the Mandalorian like that, you're gonna be like, I don't know if I gotta watch this movie.
Right.
And I wonder, like, Doomsday is obviously Doomsday. It's gonna have Downey's Doom. Are we gonna see Downey's face in any of these trailers? I'm assuming so, but we don't know that for a fact. Um, and I just wonder, like, is Chris Evans somebody you want to hide? Is I guess my question. Like, is that something that you want to keep close to the vest, or is that somebody that if you put in the trailers changes the box office? Especially after Fantastic Four, underwhelmed. Especially after Thunderbolts, didn't do as well as they would have hoped. Um, I just wonder if it's smart for Marvel to play that strategy. I mean, look, it's their money. It's not my money. I can't tell them what to do with it. If they want to make as much, I just wonder if that's going to be the smart strategy for them.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think you could argue that it's so hard. Like you know what I mean. One of my biggest things is I hate doing the revisionist history game. So I'm trying to do revisionist history a little bit on the Deadpool and Wolverine thing. It may be better to do it on the Thunderbolt thing. Maybe that's a better way to do it. But they've been doing this like promo it as something, but then the movie be something else thing now for a couple of things. They did it for obviously Thunderbolts was Thunderbolts, and then now we learned is New Avengers when you watch the movie. And then you watch, Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously, and yes, it's a Deadpool Wolverine movie. But then as you see, like it's like it's a movie that includes some major Marvel characters
that they then started throwing in the promo after the movie came out.
Afterwards, right? Gambit, Elektra, Blade. I mean, these are not. These
X-23.
are. Yeah, I mean X-23, right? They're not. They're no B-list characters, which is not a diss. Like that's big characters to be putting in. They're not A-list. Like, hey, you're not saying they're not like Spider-Man or whatever, but like all four of those characters are B-list characters. The X-23 is Wolverine in the comics. Elektra is Elektra.
Wesley Snipes' Blade is had 3 movies.
Right. I mean, and Blade approaches A-list when you put Wesley Snipes in the role. So that's massive. So this is something that they've done. I would argue it hasn't worked. Maybe you go. I mean, I don't know if like Deadpool Wolverine. I think it did fine at the box office, but I don't think it did anything insane or crazy at the box office. We know that the Thunderbolts thing was not good at the box office, despite the movie being excellent. I think we all really liked the movie, but the box office was not great for the Thunderbolts. So it's a whole different game though when you're doing this for Avengers. I would argue you could probably get away with this a lot more doing this with Avengers than you could with any other title that they have. But at the same time, we are dealing with a new age and a new time when we talk about the Marvel brand itself, right? This is not 2016, 2017, when the Avengers brand is the biggest brand in Hollywood, and you just putting that name on there means people are going to show up in droves and droves to see people. So if you're not going to, put, Captain Rogers, Chris Evans right front and center, even though he's a big part of the movie, it could be a mistake. I definitely see that, but they may feel like, and I think that
also another one, by the way, just to throw in is Spider-Man also is another one that they did that with. No Way Home.
Yeah,
that worked.
In No Way Home. Oh, right, that did work. The No Way Home thing did work. Yes,
but I think we all assumed they were in it.
Yeah, that
was a lot of buzz
such
that they were going to be in it.
That was like, when CM Punk was joining AEW or AJ Lee just recently joined WWE, where it was like it almost wasn't announced, but it almost felt like it was announced. Like,
the anticipation of it happening,
yes,
ran wild in and of itself.
Right, to even call it a surprise really seemed silly. It was more of just like if they don't do it, like you were gonna riot, basically. So this has been Marvel's back. This has been their game. This is something that they've been doing a lot more in these recent phases.
And
Infinity Saga,
to be clear,
the movie.
To be clear, it's not like I think it's smart to do that with Monica Rambeau, to Carol Danvers, even Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. Like those characters I don't think move the needle any more than the movie needs to be moved in the box office, right?
Yeah,
like,
with the people that they already have announced, right?
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly. Like I don't need any more selling. If Doctor Strange is not going to get me to go see the movie.
I mean Patrick Stewart's the movie,
Like, yeah, exactly. Based on what I've already gotten, right?
Yeah,
it's like we're talking about the very periphery, casual audience that's maybe not the people that said I don't have to see Fantastic Four. People said I don't have to see Thunderbolts.
People like to say I'm out on Marvel.
Yeah, I'm out on Marvel, right? How do you get those people back in? And if obviously Robert Downey Jr. is how, right? That's their game plan. But if Chris Evans is in the movie, like that's somebody that could get those people back in.
Right.
If Hugh Jackman is in the movie, that's somebody that can get Ryan Reynolds. Those two guys, if they're in the movie, those are people that can get those people back in. If Tobey Maguire is in this movie, that's a guy that can get those people back in. Tom Holland to a lesser degree, but Tom Holland as well. Those are the 4 or 5 characters that may or may not be in this movie that if they are in the movie, I'd be curious to see if Marvel really, really decides to hold that close to the vest.
And another thing for me is just I feel like these people, it's almost more than just like getting people in the movie. It's showing that there's that you have a plan for these people, because it wasn't just even in like Deadpool, Wolverine obviously had like so many cameos, but people were still like iffy on Marvel even after that, right? But because they were cameos, they weren't like, oh, this is the future of Marvel. These are people just gonna pop up in this movie. It's like, oh, okay, I'll rewatch that movie. But the Marvel Studios vision is like kind of dead.
The good thing is this is a part 1, right? Like we've got Secret Wars coming out, and so and that may be part of why they want to save these cameos, or not the cameos, but save the marketing of that. Because if you put all these characters in the trailers for this movie, how do you then market Secret Wars? Whatever Secret Wars is. Like, if that's what this movie is, that's what Secret Wars is, and they want that to be the movie that breaks every record in Hollywood. Well, you've already played that card.
Yeah, and to be honest, and they have some experience with this with the Russos, right? Like the way they marketed Infinity War, like they really played up the grandiose nature of just how deep the cast was, right?
Right.
They played up the Guardians being in it. They played up Black Panther being in it. They played up
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man being in it, right? But like then when we got to Avengers Endgame, it became much more of a condensed cast. It felt a lot more like our normal Avengers marketing, where it was more Rogers, Stark, Hemsworth driven. And Hemsworth they really couldn't even do because he was fat. So like
Right.
so Hemsworth really wasn't even in it. So I think that what you may see is that you're gonna play up the grandiose nature of this cast, but then maybe Secret Wars, the cast actually gets pared down quite a bit. Now that may be interesting because with the Infinity War is very simple, right? Like half the cast got killed. So it was very easy to say, all right, well, half of them are gone, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't know if it's going to be something like that simple, but I do wonder if we're going to have a similar game. And to be honest, it kind of worries me that you could be doing a little bit of cookie cutter. All right, we did this for Infinity War, just copy and paste and do this for Secret Wars, where we it's a big, massive cast has all these people, but then when we get to next movie, we're really only marketing 6-7 characters.
And it's easy to do that because with the second movie, to be a little bit more conservative from a marketing perspective, because if you get all these people to go to the first movie, it's easier to then be like, we don't have to sell the second movie as much, right? Mm-hmm. Because if we know we're making $1 billion on Infinity War or on Doomsday, well, then we know that all these people, and the movie's good, or the movie's got to be good, but we know if then all these people went to this movie, liked this movie, and were shocked by the ending. Like Infinity War, like Endgame was an easy sell because it had the most shocking ending in a movie we've had since Empire Strikes Back. And so it was easy to then be like, we don't really have to sell this movie at all. We just got to say it's coming out. People, all the same people that went to see the first one are going to see the second one, no matter what. Secret Wars may be a similar strategy where they're just like, look, if we just pour in a lot into the Doomsday marketing, then people are going to see it and it's going to have some crazy ending again. It may not be the same strategy, but it'll just be a crazy movie and people will feel like, well, then now I got to see part 2. If part 2 is similar, where it's like, all right, now we have a full-on team up of, Jackman and Maguire, and maybe Downey's Iron Man is back, and like you can then sell that as a thing. So it'll be, I would imagine, something similar to that. But again, if that concept art stuff that happened last year, that leak, and again, a lot of that stuff like doesn't feel real at this point because that was like a different time. But, but like it seemed like there was this battle world, this Doom world that was created, and Doom is like the God Emperor Doom and all that. Like if all that is legit, and that's how this plays out, like it's possible that Secret Wars just doesn't look anything like whatever we think the Marvel Universe looks like. Right. It could be kind of a lost in reality, like we're in a different world now, and so it's easy to sell it, kind of like Endgame a little bit, but like less dreary, more just like this is a different setting.
Yeah, and just looking at this character design bag that was leaked again, not many surprises, but the X-Men characters I think are the ones that getting the most attention, right? Because you got James Marsden in the real like 90s Kendall doing the Rock Goosebumps arm as he's in the 90s gear. You got Gambit looking like the costume Gambit that we saw before. Nightcrawler in a Nightcrawler style costume. I mean the designs are great. Designs look super dope. It's a cool thing, and then the one thing also obviously is Doom, because there's been a lot of talk about what Doom would look like, and now I feel silly because I don't know if you guys remember that Robert Downey birthday party invitation. That
we were panicking, man. We did like 30 minutes on that thing.
Remember, I was like, look, I think this is how Doom's gonna look. And you guys were like, if this is how Doom looks, this movie is cooked.
I was tweaking, bro.
I'm trying to
I was like, there's no way.
I was like, look, this is a new age Doom. I was trying to shoot them bail, man, but the Doom in the bag that was leaked, it almost looks kind of like the X-Men '97 graphics that show up, at the end of the episodes.
Yeah, kind of like a player's character select kind of.
Yeah, character select, or kind of like the the map that Forge has, not the map, but like the character list that Forge has in his office of where the characters are. It looks very similar to that. But the Doctor Doom in this photo also is like it's straight Doctor Doom. There is no he's got a weird cape and hair flowing in the wind. There's none of that. It's hood, it's mask, it's full Doom, it's anything you would want from a costume. So it seems like they're going
and
all
it looks,
in.
It also looks consistent with that. Did you guys see that like Chinese? That like hologram, whatever the thing they
all
have,
that stuff. I whenever I see that stuff, I'm like, there's no way that's real, right? Like, but then you see that, and you're like, I don't know.
You're like, oh well, I guess
maybe that wasn't real, right?
Yeah. Also, I want to point out, I like the Fantastic Four's new fit as well. I like their little jackets.
That in update, that's been kind of swept under the rug a little bit because of the X-Men thing, but yeah, their update looks cool as well.
Yeah, the Reed Richards white jacket is tough.
It kind of looks like a lab coat, but then it's also swaggy. Some people calling it a lab coat. I'm like, it's definitely not a lab coat.
No, it's definitely a jacket.
I think it's supposed to maybe double as that or kind of give off that vibe to a degree, but yeah, no. Again, the Franklin Richards, being aged up was interesting. I think the biggest L was just the fact that whatever clown at Marvel took the picture left out Magneto. I'm like, how are you going to take this picture and not give us Magneto?
Massive L.
How are you going to get the call from Feige to say, all right, we need you to leak this picture, but then you don't put Magneto in it? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, that's terrible. Now, where is the age Franklin in this? I keep missing him.
It's in the bottom right.
Bottom right.
That's the bottom right. That's Franklin. Why is his hair?
We're supposed to believe that's Franklin.
That almost looks like Valeria to me.
Well, remember the Franklin that we saw in the post-credit scene had
he did. He had
like a lot of hair.
He did have a lot of hair. Yeah, so I guess maybe it is him. It almost looks like a girl from this. It's blurry.
Right. There were people that wondered if that was Valeria. I mean, it could be, but it would make more sense for it to be Franklin.
It would, obviously. It looks like a girl. But I mean, this is a zoomed in look at a blurry thing. I'm looking at. But no, Avengers Doomsday. I mean, look, this is gonna be the movie we're gonna be talking about a ton for the next at this point 15 months. We're getting there. We're getting closer than I think we think. When they moved it back to December of next year, it felt like I think it was like a kick in the stomach. Just like, man, we're never gonna see this movie. But I mean, it's October now. It's October of this year now, so we're already in fall. We're gonna be entering winter in just a couple of months, and then we'll be a year away. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And I still can't wait. I know there's a lot of people down on Marvel right now, but I still can't wait. I think that Channing talking about the cameos being much bigger than what we saw in Deadpool and Wolverine. In some ways to be expected, but the fact that I'm going to go into the theater and be shocked by what I may see, I'm all for it. I want to see what they're going to
do. The one thing I do want to mention also is that as part of that whole thing with the trailer coming out with Avatar is there's, I guess, speculation that they may do what they did, what Universal did with Odyssey, the Christopher Nolan movie that's coming out, where they played it in theaters exclusively with Jurassic World.
Yeah, I think they should do that
trailer. And Disney, obviously owning Avatar, they may take the same strategy, and that would be very smart, right? Because I mean, me and Smart talked about it early in the week. Like, I haven't seen the first two Avatar movies. I would have to see it. Like, I would have to see it that week, and it's like, you're gonna get my money. They don't need my money to Avatar. Like, they're gonna make $1 billion no matter what. But now it's like, yeah, let's just make 1.5 instead of $1 billion.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it on my walk. I was thinking about it on my walk with. I was walking with my dog this morning. I was like, I can't remember the last time like I had to go to a movie to see a trailer. Like, this is so like 2003. Like, this is not ever since the internet's come up, and ever since they've been able to market movies online. This has never been a reason to do this. But I actually think for this movie and it being Avatar, this is actually the perfect one to do this for. And people are already gonna go see Avatar. It's already gonna have a big box office thing. Then also you do it for Avengers, the next Avengers movie. That's the most anticipated Marvel movie since Endgame.
And that trailer is going to be the
strategy.
most anticipated trailer we've had. I don't know. Like, how far back are we talking? I mean, again, Endgame, obviously, but then besides Endgame,
No Way Home.
Yeah, I put this ahead of No Way Home.
I put it at number one too.
Probably.
Because I don't know if we thought we were getting. We was a chance, but I don't think we thought for sure we were getting the Spider-Man in the trailer.
Remember the Spider-Man stuff with that was a weird thing. We went back and forth on what was happening with that.
Yeah,
and then what we're not.
Because it was like the last trailer.
No.
Yeah. And like it's we know we're getting Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, so that in and of itself is so crazy.
Yeah.
That like and this massive cast.
And we know we're getting X-Men. Like, we know we're getting X-Men.
Right. So, so it's a perfect storm, like you said, not only to market Avatar, but also to market Doomsday for audiences to make sure that movie makes as much money as it can make. So, it seems like the perfect storm. I'd be surprised if that's not what they do. If they do release it online, that's awesome. That I want to see Avatar, but, but if they don't...
I mean, I don't plan to see Avatar, so so if they decide not to do it, I'd be totally fine with that. Let's shift gears. Let's go across the street and talk some DC stuff. So, James Gunn provided some updates on Batman: Brave and the Bold, or just the Brave and the Bold movie. It's a movie that remains extremely mysterious, and it seems to be again the only thing that is not very buttoned up over at DC. Even the Batman now seems to be going smoothly, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But we still don't have a Batman. We don't know who Robin is. But James Gunn could tell us that we will see the movie before 2031. That I'm like, oh, thanks for that. It should come out before 2030 or 2031, or what James Gunn said about when we can see this movie. I want to just update people. It's 2025 right now, so good news. You will see the movie, I guess, within 5 years. Okay, so there was that. But he's asked a lot of questions about that. This one particularly that I think's been interesting. That Andy Muschietti linked to this movie still also remains unclear. There was a time where it seemed like he was connected. Now it may seem like he's not connected to the film. But
Muschietti's not doing this movie. I'd be shocked.
I'd be shocked too, just because like if someone's actually doing a movie, there wouldn't be this many questions about it that wouldn't have already been squashed. So I feel like James Gunn may be doing Andy a solid by saying he's still connected to this movie just to not make it look like he got fired for whatever reason. But I also have some doubts about whether he's doing this. But the Batman and Brave and the Bold thing, I think the one thing that stood out was, one, a lot of people want this role, which is not surprising. James Gunn said he's already been having people reach out to him. I think because they know that this is the role that's going to stick probably for a while. Like, I know we have Robert Pattinson, who's Batman, but I think the Robert Pattinson Batman will do probably 2 more movies, and I think that's going to be the end of him. That's just me. That's some EJ take, but I don't think we're going to have 6 Robert Pattinson Batman movies. I think we're going to see a Batman trilogy that Reeves wants to tell, and then we'll phase out of there and just focus solely on what's happening in James Gunn's universe with his DCU Batman. But the bigger question has been about Robin and what the hell's going on there, because we thought we were going one way, but as James Gunn has now admitted, quote, things are in flux with this story and this Batman regarding his situation and his parentage. So whether or not James Gunn's Batman will be joined by Damian Wayne Robin, something that I want to repeat, James Gunn said himself. This is not like us leaping to a conclusion or fans leaping to a conclusion. He did that.
Scooper.
Yeah, I was with Scooper. Remember, he did I forgot what it was, but it wasn't a DC. It wasn't like a DC day, whatever they used to do. But it was some kind of
dropped the video.
A video.
Yeah, he dropped the video just like talking about
announcing a bunch of stuff, and he talked about Damian Wayne's his favorite Robin, and he thinks it's the best Robin, and they're excited to bring him to the big screen. And he says that things are in flux with everything regarding this. And I want to bring you guys back to a story that we talked about weeks ago, where there was this idea that Teen Titans was moving forward, but they didn't know who Robin was, and when Teen Titans come out could determine which Robin was in that movie, which seemed insane because it seemed like how could scheduling come into a factor of a creative decision of what you're doing, especially when you're committed. Allegedly, you're committed. Not even allegedly. You said this was going to happen. You were committed to doing Damian Wayne as the Robin in Brave and the Bold. Now you hear things are in flux. We don't know what's going on. Now it sounds like that story may have been right on the money. Where if it was before Batman Brave and the Bold, it would be Tim Drake. But if it was after, that it would be Damian Wayne. I guess the theory being that you could not introduce Damian Wayne first in Teen Titans without having him not doing anything to the story of how he becomes Robin in the first Batman movie, which would make sense. But again, the fact that this is a scheduling conflict and not a story driven conflict is kind of stunning. But guys, I don't know how you feel, Kendall. I feel like that's what's happening here. Which look, I didn't want Damian Wayne to be the first Robin. I wanted it to be really either Drake or Grayson, but it seems like Grayson's likely going to be Nightwing, so I'm fine with that. I did not think Damian Wayne made much sense as a Teen Titans leader for the Teen Titans with the characters that we were seeing, Starfire, Beast Boy, and Raid. Like that seemed ridiculous to me. So I feel better, I guess, that it may be Drake. But how do you feel about this whole thing going on with Damian Wayne and maybe not debuting as Robin in Brave and the Bold?
I don't know, EJ. I mean, look, I just watched that Teen Titans cartoon recently, and they never say he's Dick Grayson. Maybe he is Damian Wayne.
No, he's Dick Grayson.
Nah,
He's Dick Grayson, all right. They leap into the future.
Maybe you sure that's not Damian Wayne is Nightwing?
It's not Damian Wayne. I mean, definitely Dick Grayson.
But no, to me the James Gunn. Look, I think I feel like I've come off as James Gunn hater on this podcast. And I don't have a problem with James Gunn's movies or James Gunn as a character. But I do feel like he's sometimes said things where I'm like, easier to say that, harder to actually do in practice. And one of the things that he said from the jump is we're not announcing any movies without a finished script. Nothing's done until it's done. We're not announcing anything that yada yada.
Say that. Yeah.
And Brave and the Bold was one of the first things they announced. It was the first thing they announced after Superman, part of that first announcement. And again, it had a plan to do Damian Wayne, it had a script and everything, and that thing's just come apart now because, again, I think a lot of this has to do with Matt Reeves, right? And I don't think it's, again, we don't know what happened. I'm not saying it's Matt Reeves' fault, but Matt Reeves' Batman movie took so long, and they couldn't come out with the Brave and the Bold, and again, you can't push everything in your universe back because Matt Reeves, taking a long time to do Batman. And so they just had this awkward thing. And, I did hear recently that the writer that's supposed to be doing Teen Titans, Anna Noguera, she's doing Supergirl. She did Supergirl. She wrote Supergirl.
Yep.
And she's writing Wonder Woman. She was also writing Teen Titans, and it seemed like James Gunn's even walking that back a little bit, being like, yeah, we had a script for Teen Titans. It didn't really come together, so I don't know. We'll see. It was kind of like, so I don't know, like, what the deal is even with Teen Titans and who's writing that at that point, if that's still a thing. Again, they're kind of, and to be fair with him, like Peter Safran, there was an interview with him and Peter Safran, and Safran was like, yeah, I think we said Anna's writing the movie, and Gunn's like, yeah, we never said that, but it is out there. But it seems like, so that wasn't, Teen Titans wasn't a movie that was announced by DC, but they have talked publicly about it. And again, that whole situation is in flux from a story perspective as well. But their situation with Damian Wayne, look, I'm with you. I was not, a fan of the idea of doing Damian Wayne as Robin. I think it's a mistake to not do Dick Grayson. I understand if they are doing Dick Grayson in the Reeves verse, then I understand it a little bit more. It makes no sense to have two Dick Grayson, two Batman and Robin stories. I do think that it makes more sense for Dick Grayson to be the Robin in the DCU than it does in Pattinson's verse from a just keeping score, just keeping everything in line. There's just way more you can do with Dick Grayson as Robin moving forward than you can with obviously just Tim Drake and Damian Wayne to a lesser degree, but also than he can in a Pattinson verse. Because like you said, we may only be getting one more Pattinson movie after this, and is that it? I mean, they could then move to Nightwing potentially in that universe, but if we're getting Nightwing in this, then you're still gonna have two Dick Graysons out there. They're not gonna not have Dick Grayson at all in the DCU. So I'm like, I don't see why you wouldn't do Robin put him in this, where you can then you have Dick Grayson to Teen Titans. You can have Dick Grayson as an actor, whoever the actor is, and as a character grow with the role and with the universe, and then put him in different stuff, and then have him grow into Nightwing at a certain point, and have that be a brand in and of itself. To me, it feels like a way smarter marketing strategy. But again, they're kind of beholden to what's happening with Matt Reeves. So yeah, I just think this is very sloppy. He also said this is something different, but he also said that this week that we're not doing lesser known characters at DC. We're not doing them in movies because nobody wants to see those characters. Which it was a little bit. Yeah, exactly. It's a ridiculous statement when you're literally your third movie in your universe is Clayface.
Yeah, you're trying to do Sergeant Rock.
He wanted to do Sergeant Rock. That got shut down. So again, you were just making stuff up. That to me felt like Gunn wasn't talking to anyone that actually pays attention to stuff. He was talking to whoever, David Ellison or whoever's trying to Netflix, whoever's trying to buy Warner Brothers, Paramount. He's talking to Zaslav. He's talking to the shareholders, because that doesn't make any sense. Again, you're doing Clayface. I joke with Shamari. I don't think Clayface is a top 10 most known Batman villain.
Yeah, I feel like we've done that
names.
Before.
Yeah, we ran through that. Yeah, we did the names when the movie got announced. We were like, what is this?
Yeah,
Clayface.
they're like, he's not top 10.
Yeah, he's not top 10.
I don't think he's top 10.
Like he's in somewhere in the 9 to 13 range. Like you really want to push him to the top 10, you can, but like he's closer to 13, 14, 15. And
absolutely,
like, so the idea that you're like, we're not doing lesser known characters. Like, again, to me, from a strategy standpoint, we could debate that. It's about making money, whatever. I think there's good stories that can be done with lesser known characters, but whatever. But to say that we're not doing that when you actually are, and you've actively tried to do that now, and we have a Peacemaker show. I know that's not a movie, but we have a Peacemaker show running now. Like, and it's good. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's one that's hard to believe. It's also because he's James Gunn, right? Like James Gunn has made his money and made his bed off of doing the Guardians of the Galaxy characters that were very obscure before he took them and made them into A-list characters. He just did the Suicide Squad, and he did a squad that was not your full of household names. It was Harley Quinn and a bunch of C-list people, right? So, and even lower than C-list to some degree. Yeah. So it's hard to see that and take it at face value. Maybe it could be a shift that's happening, because to be fair, Sergeant Rock was canceled, and we know the Authority had all these issues, and it seems like the Authority is not something that maybe is going forward.
They're fast tracking Wonder Woman,
right? They're fast tracking Wonder Woman. So there maybe is some circumstantial evidence that is suggesting that like maybe that is the case. It just isn't consistent with who James Gunn has been as a film creator, and it's consistent with who James Gunn has been currently, who he's been recently, even with DC. So yeah, I think that is interesting. I mean, Sham, on the Robin front, I mean, how do you feel about the idea that Damian Wayne may not be the person wearing the red and gold in this movie?
I think it would be the right decision, for all the reasons that we've talked about on previous podcasts. But it seems like we're basically pretty much all in agreement that would be the correct decision, and not because Damian Wayne is a bad Robin, though he's not like my favorite Robin, I guess, but not because he's a bad Robin or a bad character, or I don't want to see him or anything like that. It's just for your first Batman movie, that's and in particular with the type of character he is, I don't know that that's what I want to see like right out the gate. Like, that's just to be completely honest. And if I did, I might like want that to be rated R, because he's not afraid of killing. And so I feel like whatever version of Damian Wayne we even get is going to be watered down to like maybe a pretty significant degree, to be completely honest. So yeah, so I just don't think that's something that I want to see. To be completely honest, uh, so yeah, I think I think this is just a good decision. If it's true, we don't know. Like you guys have pointed out, James Gunn has been very like, I like that he communicates with people, but sometimes I don't like. Sometimes I feel like he just says things and it's like, I mean, is this really the case? Like sometimes he just says things. I'm like, you're kind of talking himself into a corner where it's like, okay, now I have to see you actually do this,
Right.
or you're lying. He's like needlessly committing to things that he doesn't need to commit to. Um, like even this thing with like, oh, we're not going to do lesser known characters. It's like, and it's like I like even on the face of that, I kind of almost don't believe it because you're
Yeah.
known for lesser known characters. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Like, why you're here.
You just
That's why you
read
got the
you just
job.
read a script. You just read a script for a Clayface movie that you thought was so great that it had to be greenlit and pushed forward as
And
fast as
worked on
possible.
immediately. Not you're doing Clayface before Batman, so
Before Batman,
which
before anything
which
besides Superman and
before
Supergirl
before Wonder Woman, before seemingly
Yeah.
and
anything.
Lanterns, I guess, which is
So yeah, that to me is also very questionable. But yeah, I think the Robin thing, I think that would be a good decision for whatever reason it happens. I think it would be to the benefit of the DCU. Um, I do think it would be. Um, I do think it would be a little strange having two like Dick Graysons. I don't know what Robin we would get in the Brave and the Bold, but but it not being Damian Wayne would absolutely be preferable to me for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, I didn't want Damian Wayne, but I do feel like this whole thing is thrown off because Tim Drake is a great Robin. I like Tim Drake, but everything, and maybe this is shallow of me, but I look at the Batman and Superman timelines are to me very important in terms of how they run parallel. And to me, even if we're doing Tim Drake, the idea that we would have had a Batman and two Robins and then a Tim Drake before we have any interaction with Superman feels off. Like, and maybe this is me being too comic book heavy, but like Dick Grayson and Clark Kent have a great relationship. Like Clark is actually one of Dick Grayson's very close friends, and Dick Grayson took a lot of inspiration from Superman in making his costume for Nightwing, his first costume. Nightwing actually is a Kryptonian inspiration. He came up with the name, right? So the fact that none of that is part of Dick Grayson's story, like is I think is something, right? Like Dick Grayson knew Superman since he was a kid. That's part of the reason why he has this relationship. Is actually part of why Bruce can actually see Clark as a human. It's like so. I think when you don't when you take that out and you say like I guess in theory could you just have Tim
Tim
Drake play
Drake
that
could
role?
take.
Sure,
Yeah,
he could, but like I just it feels like there's something missing from actually Dick Grayson's character by not having that because Dick Grayson's going to show up eventually, and it strikes me again. It's frustrating that like the Batman stuff involved with the Batman Brave and the Bold. The fact that they're like actually like Brave and the Bold having to maybe kind of go through tight ropes and no pun intended. Obviously, talking about the Grayson, but walk on tight ropes and thread these needles in order to make sure that the Batman can be whatever it's supposed to be.
it's really messing.
It's frustrating just because the Batman is a contained universe and the Batman Brave Bolt is not. So
Yeah,
it feels like
it's really
these interconnected interconnected relationships across franchises actually is way more important
You're right.
than it is in the Batman.
Because what's happening right now with the DCU is it all feels a little messy, right? And again, it's tough to blame Matt Reeves because, like he said, he's just like, look, I'm just one man, one movie. What do you mean? But like, Batman is such an important character, and again, glad if James Gunn is wavering on the Damian Wayne thing, it's smart because that's one less problem you have to have, because we've all been like, well, now you need an old Batman, right? Because he can't be super young and then have a kid that's old enough to be a Robin, and so now you need an old Batman with a young Superman. This doesn't make any sense, and you got to cast somebody that can be Batman for 10 plus years. Like that issue, if Damian Wayne's not Robin, that issue is for the most part off the table, right? Even if it's Tim Drake, you think he'd be a little bit older, but it doesn't have to be. He doesn't be old enough to have a kid, right? He could be 31, 32 and still be Tim Drake. And so that's not as big of an issue. But there's still problems with, like you said, if we have, if we can't do Dick Grayson because we're doing Dick Grayson in the Batman, and there again, we gotta do this dynamic different, and this has to be different. And it just feels like, and just when the Batman movies come out, because that's the bigger problem. It's not just what you're doing in Brave and the Bold; it's the fact that Brave and the Bold can't come out till 2031, 2032. It's like, how do you do a DC universe with no Batman for this long? Like, there's a part of me that wonders if they should just scrap introducing Batman in Brave and the Bold. And this is something Jeff Snyder said, and I don't buy it, but this is something Jeff Snyder said. We know Jeff Snyder has a really good instinct for this stuff when it comes to Hollywood movie studios. But he went as far as say, he's like, I don't think we're going to have two Batman at all. He's like, I don't think we're going to have two Batman. I don't think Brave and the Bold ever coming out. And that's a explosive statement to make. I'm not going to go that far.
So he thinks Pattinson is going to be Batman?
That's all he said, was he didn't think Brave and the Bold ever coming out. So I'm assuming that's the next implication, is that they would then just move Robert Pattinson over at some point. But
I mean, is there a reality where you have Reeves do this movie, and maybe the Batman is just two? It's not a trilogy; it's a two-parter, and then James Gunn just takes over. Like, is that like that maybe because there's takes over?
It sounds like that's not what Reeves wants.
Yes, takes over Pattinson, because let's say Reeves says, I don't want anything to do with the DCU. So James says, okay, fine, we'll finish your vision in the next movie, and then I'm just going to take over. Like, if Pattinson agrees to join James Gunn's DCU, then like that, nothing's stopping him. Like,
I mean, if Reeves wants to continue,
especially if you made the comment of 2030, it's like 2030 and 2031 is the next Batman movie. It's like, well, that's a long time. That is enough time for you to make one movie with Reeves and then do whatever you're gonna do to DCU.
If this is something that Matt Reeves wants to make a trilogy, I think the higher ups above Gunn would let him do it. And I think it'd be bad PR if they didn't. I think it'd be really bad PR if the second movie's good, which I'd assume it will be. Like,
I mean, and he's talking about trying to rival The Dark Knight. So that would not just be any old movie. That's like $1 billion level. Like, if they were to just shut down a trilogy of that,
they were like, no, we're gonna move to James Gunn. Like, there's so many people that don't like James Gunn, right? He has a lot of fans as well, but he's already pissed off a lot of the Snyder people. There's a lot of these Reeves. This Reeves thing has a lot of fans as well, right?
I mean, there are people who are definitely trying to sabotage the opening of Superman by saying it was terrible when it clearly wasn't.
Now, there is a large segment of people that want them to merge the DCU and the DC and the Matt Reeves stuff, like Shamari. But I don't know how many of those people will be satisfied if Matt Reeves like, I'm not involved anymore, or I got squeezed out. Like, I don't know. That'll be interesting. Now, he may not say that, right? He may be a good soldier, or maybe he just doesn't want to do it. And if that's the case, that's a little different, and I think that they could move forward like that. But again, I just say all that to say that, like, they're in a weird spot, and the fact that they can't do Batman for as long as they can, like, I would introduce Batman in something else, like Batman v Superman. Batman wouldn't be introduced in a Batman movie, and I know that's gonna give a lot of Snyder people PTSD because over the Ben Affleck, Batfleck directed Batman movie, that the Batman that just never came out. Brave and the Bold might end up being that, but to me, it's just, you can't wait. You have to introduce Batman to have you don't have a DC universe unless you have Batman, and they have to figure this thing out as fast as possible. And like the longer you wait, the longer Robert Pattinson becomes more likely in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. This 2030 date, and I remember reading that quote and being like, man, I'll be like damn near 40 years old, and it's like that's like
I
I'll be in an
mean, like
entirely
when you
different
mentioned
section of my life.
2031, I'm like that we're going to be deep into primary election season for not the next election, but the election after that. Like
Yeah,
2032, the 2032 presidential election will be hotly contested by the time this Batman Brave and the Bold movie they got announced like 2 years ago.
Look, that's what he said.
We're gonna even have
we
a
on
job.
X-Men time?
Like, there's so much that you don't even know. 2031, like that is an entirely different. We don't know what is gonna happen. I was gonna get dark and say we don't even know if we're gonna make it to 2031, but we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what is going to happen before that.
Again, I don't know if James Gunn's going to be running DC, like, just from a very practical standpoint. Like, that's a long time.
Seriously, yes.
He better hope that these next couple of movies do well. There's going to be there's about to be a merger, an taking by Paramount. David Ellison, what's his relationship with Gunn?
Listen, this happened this week. James Gunn, he loves Threads. He was on Threads, and they asked him, we had to wait until 2030 or 2031 to see the next Batman movie. He said no. He didn't give any other update on how earlier it would be than 2030. So you look at that could be as late. It could be as late as 2029, according to James Gunn.
They have to be moving fast, right? Like because Matt Reeves' movie is working. Like Matt Reeves' movie is coming out. It's got its time. It's got its date. So now, once that movie comes out, they hit the ground running on Brave and the Bold. If that doesn't happen,
but yeah, this is trouble. This would be worse than that. The X-Men. I don't know about worse. I have to think about it, but yeah, it'd be like almost just as bad as X-Men. You have Batman.
I think it'd be worse. I think it'd be worse because there's no contractual obligation stopping you from making Batman. Allegedly,
and it's DC. Like you have to make Batman.
Yeah, and also you're starting your universe. Like the Marvel was already a moving train. It was trying to jump.
Yes.
It was, as frustrating as it was trying to infuse an entire franchise into a moving car. The car was stopped. The car wasn't moving. It's like you just took off without an important piece of luggage. Like it would be totally different. I think it'd be much worse. It'd be like,
we're doing a Clayface movie. Like we're in Gotham already.
That's insane.
And is Batman going to be active? I would assume he's going to be active, but he's just not going to be in the movie. Obviously, is he going to be teased at all? Like this is a complete disaster if this movie isn't out in the next 5 years. And that's again 20. Like you said, that's a long time, man. Like it doesn't sound as long because you're like, oh, we're almost at the end of the 2020s. But at the same time, it's like that's 5 years, man. Like this thing was announced in 23, and we're now talking about it's not coming out till 2030. That's like you said. That's basically that's not as long technically as when they announced they've never officially announced the X-Men movie, but like when they said the mutants are coming, that was 2019, and like we're not getting an X-Men movie till like 2028, so that's still a 9-year gap from when they told us we were getting them the X-Men. But still, it's like you said.
But we have seen mutants before then, though. We
have seen mutants, We
and
like Fantastic Four was like 2019.
We've seen Gambit. We have seen some. We have seen mutants.
Fantastic Four was 2019 to 2025, which was still a long gap, but like that was more reasonable. This is gonna be worse than that.
Let's shift gears quickly because there was something about the Batman I think that was notable this week. So you also had Matt Reeves doing a sit down talking about this film, and he was pretty candid about some things. Number one, when asked about what the sequel is going to be like, he said this is going to be a movie that will focus more on the character of Bruce Wayne because the last one, quote, is so focused on Batman. So a lot of that last movie was Batman, the detective, trying to figure out what was going on with the Riddler. This movie apparently will be much more of a deep dive into Bruce Wayne, according to Matt Reeves. Also, according to Matt Reeves, that the antagonist for the Batman Part 2 has, quote, never really been done in a movie before. So it kind of leads you to say, okay, well, there was rumors maybe Mr. Freeze infamously was done in a movie, Batman and Robin, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Mr. Freeze, you take him out, it takes off a lot of people because we've had a ton of Batman movies. I mean, Penguin, obviously, but he's already in the universe. But
Penguin, yeah,
Poison,
Penguin's in it,
yeah,
yeah.
Poison Ivy, Joker, Catwoman, obviously, who was
Bane,
in the last movie,
Yeah,
Bane,
Riddler.
Scarecrow,
Harvey Dent, Two Face,
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul. So a lot of people get crossed off if you're saying we're going to be doing a movie that's going to be something that's never been done before. To me, this feels like it's only two options then: Court of Owls or Hush. And I feel like the first movie set up either one pretty well. There's a ton of Court of Owls Easter eggs in the first movie, especially with kind of similar to, I guess, a little bit how the movie, the last movie, the Superman movie did. We're kind of retconning the Waynes a little bit to not make them feel as benevolent and as like holier than thou as maybe we are used to seeing the Waynes, and maybe linking them to a dark Gotham underbelly, and that there is a dark Gotham underbelly that maybe Riddler was trying to reveal throughout all of his machinations. So,
And Penguin sort of
Court of
leaned
Owls,
into that as well a little bit.
yes, Penguin also has some things in that. So, Court of Owls, I think, leader in the clubhouse. But then when you mentioned that this is going to be a very much a Bruce Wayne focused story, then I also think Hush as well, because Hush very much that relationship with Bruce Wayne and him impersonating Bruce Wayne, and like, to me those would be the two main ones, and I'd be excited for either one. Uh, Hush, I think, is someone who's become very popular of late. He's not been done in a movie. He has been done in a TV show. We can't forget he was in Batwoman. For those who watched Batwoman,
Yeah,
man, that was
he's
something.
been done in an animated movie as well.
Yes, and he's been done in an animated movie as well. Also, maybe one you
Yeah.
might want to forget as
Yeah.
well.
Don't watch that one.
Yeah, so Hush in the other non-comic book forms, not that great, but he has not been done in a movie, and of course, Coral has only been done in animated movies as well, not in a live action. Where do you guys lean? Where do you lean in terms of when you hear about what this movie is going to be doing? Where you want them to go and where you think they'll go.
I agree with you, Jay, in terms of that. Those options being kind of the highest in likelihood. Um, you know, I also want to point out those two, both Court of Owls and Hush, were in video games as well. Court of Owls was in, that they were the main antagonists in the Gotham Knights game,
Yep.
and Hush was in Arkham Knight
Yes,
as
he was.
well. Um, but yeah, and it, I the first thing that came to my mind was Court of Owls. I was like, that to me is highest on the list. I think that is likely what we're going to get. Um, and we saw Gotham, Court of Owls. Hoping we don't get anything quite like that.
Oh man,
But
I forgot about that.
yeah, they did everything on that show. But yeah,
I still get PTSD thinking about the woman with the mask, with the owl mask.
Yeah, that lady with the
we
mask.
still don't know anything
Yeah.
about her. It's just like that was just so goofy.
It was crazy. Yeah, the Talon just showing up, fighting Alfred and Gordon. It's crazy.
That's crazy. That a childhood Bruce Wayne was trying to fight the Court of Owls. That was
scrapping
crazy.
the Court of Owls, bro.
Yeah, that was later in the show too when he was getting trained and stuff.
What was
He
going
was also
on?
scrapping with Mr. Freeze at 10 years old, also. So
Yes,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. I think the Court of Owls in the Gotham that they set up would actually be very good. I think they've done a very good job of establishing the kind of corruption that exists in Gotham, and that the Waynes are very closely tied to kind of the historical, the clear kind of difference in like power and influence between the influential families and the non-influential families. They really kind of lay the groundwork already to tell this story. So I think that could be very, very well done. Hush could be done very well as also. Colin Farrell made some comments recently talking about how this movie is going to be much darker and like you know, grittier and stuff than the first one.
Yeah.
And the first one was super dark, so you know that might lead you to believe, okay, maybe we might be getting like a Hush type of thing for this possibly. But then Court of Owls is also dark as well. So you know, either way, I'm very excited. This is just good news um, for me because you know you would hope that we would get maybe something that we haven't seen before. You know, because we've seen so many different iterations of the different Batman villains and Batman stories. So, uh, so yeah, this is good news for me. I'm just excited for whatever story Reeves has in mind to tell.
Kendall, any place where you want to go in terms of where you think it should go and where you hope it would go?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think Court of Owls makes the most sense to me. Um, I think that that's a logical progression, like you guys mentioned, from the tone of the universe. Like you said, it's a very regal, very old timey Gotham kind of setting already, and like and very real and very gritty. So I could see them uh, I could see them playing into that. And it felt like they were kind of teasing Court of Owls already in the first film, so that makes that makes sense. Hush to me, I told Shamari, we talked about this earlier in the week. Hush to me, I wonder if,
Yeah.
from a visual standpoint, and they're very different characters, but I do wonder if, like, the way they did the Riddler, like, if that's a little
Right.
too similar to Hush. They kind of made him like an amalgamation of Hush and Riddler a little
Right.
bit, which is funny because if you've seen the animated movie, you know that we basically got an amalgamation of Riddler and Hush
Yeah.
already,
Right.
a literal one, and so I wonder if that's something where it's like that. I don't know if that doesn't just knock out Hush. And again, they may do him different. They may make him look different, so that he doesn't look like
Yeah.
the Riddler, the Edward, whatever his name is in that joint. I forget. It wasn't Enigma, but it was something ridiculous. But Nashton, I think it was Edward Nashton,
Yeah. Right.
the Edward Nashton character we got. So like the the one I will throw out as an alternative, because in theory there's other characters, Batman villains we haven't gotten that like haven't been done that are lesser known than maybe even those two, or just aren't like likely. But like Man Bat, right? Like, so we haven't seen Man Bat, but like, there's no way Man Bat's a villain in this movie,
I don't
right?
think so.
No way Man Bat, no way Mad Hatter. The one that I think would fit into the same line as these two characters and um, would make a lot of sense in this universe and could be in this movie. We could have all three of these characters, honestly, if they really wanted to do it. So I think Hugo Strange is another one that we haven't necessarily gotten in a live action movie before.
Mm-hmm.
And, Hugo Strange is somebody that I think could fit really well in this universe. If you have a really good actor playing Hugo Strange, it could be a great villain. And it's a very different villain. And it also allows you the opportunity to use other Batman villains underneath him, potentially. We already got the tease of Barry Keoghan as Joker. Like, I'm not expecting to get Barry Keoghan in his movie at all, but, like, kind of, opens up the door. Obviously we have Sophia Falcone as well as a character that may open the door up for her coming back as well. So there's
Reportedly, I think Reeves. It was Reeves who said that she was not going to be in this movie. That was the initial word.
Right.
Which should
And so
shout out people because Kristen Milioti just recently. Shout out to Kristen
right.
Milioti. She just won an Emmy for her role in Penguin. Yeah, so definitely a round of applause for that. She was phenomenal.
Right.
Absolutely phenomenal. Breakout role for her for sure.
And so to me, I think it's Court of Owls. I kind of want Court of Owls, but I think that there's a chance it is Hugo Strange as well, or that he's involved. There was a a report a couple days ago that an actor, Tobias Menzies, who was recently in the F1 movie, that he was cast or like he's being eyed to play in Arkham. The founder of the Arkham Asylum, and so.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, again, is that Court of Owls? Is that leaning towards Court of Owls? Is that leaning towards Hugo Strange? I think it can go either way. theoretically. I would guess Court of Owls, but it could very well be something tying to Hugo Strange as well. So, and again, they could both, like, Hugo Strange could be involved in a Court of Owls story 1000%. So,
Yeah.
um, that's somebody I would also like to offer up as a possibility. But other than him, I don't really see any other Batman villains on the periphery that make any sense. Like, no one see Professor Pig or I got to think about Beware the Batman, since they used all the obscure ones. Magpie,
Yeah.
Tobias Whale.
Lady Shiva.
Nobody
Lady
wants to see any of
Shiva.
those. Yeah, Lady Shiva as well.
Firefly.
Another one that I really
like.
like.
Supposed to be in Batgirl, Firefly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like. Did anybody want to see Firefly? Another one that was used that I don't know if Reeves is referencing is Black Mask. Has technically been used, but hasn't been used in a Batman movie.
Right.
He's in Birds of Prey, as was Victor Zsasz as well. But another one that hasn't been done in a movie that I think would be awesome, and they're not going to do it. It'd be insane, but I think could be really cool. Would be the ventriloquist in Scarface. I think that one is one that, like, it's no way that they're the villains, but if they did, that could be really good. Like, and that may be something better off for like a scene, or an arc, kind of like
that.
How Penguin was
agree.
I was gonna say, I was like that'd be like a mix between like Split and like the Batman universe.
I don't want to see like something like that, like how they did Scarecrow in, what was it, The Dark Knight?
Batman Begins.
He was in Dark Knight Rises.
No, his like cameo in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, it was Dark Knight Rises. He was supposed to be Joker, but then they did Scarecrow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to see him something like that.
So long.
Like where like, because like what's the scene? I know you're thinking about the scene, the court scene, but I'm thinking about the scene when he stops like the heist and like he smashes through like the car, because isn't he also in that scene too?
Right. Was he in the Dark Knight?
That I think is the Dark Knight. That's why I said the Dark Knight.
I think he is in the Dark Knight.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I think that's like where like some kind of scene where Batman's breaking something up and it's Scarecrow and ventriloquist. Like that would be hardcore. Yeah. That would be something I think would be really cool. I never thought about Scarecrow and ventriloquist.
Scarface.
I don't know. I don't know if I can see him carrying a movie. But Scarface.
Yeah.
What I keep saying?
Scarecrow.
Sorry. I keep saying it right. Yeah. No. I don't know. Yeah, ventriloquist and that I could see more. What I think would be interesting. I do wonder, like, is there kind of like any what's the word, like copyright issues with using Scarface for a movie, given that there is
right. Maybe that's why you would lean into the ventriloquist thing.
Yeah, right. Maybe where it's just the ventriloquist as the actual villain. So no, good stuff there as well. Real quickly, guys, I want to get into Peacemaker because we're getting into the finale week, 7 episodes in. I think that this has been a phenomenal season. I think that you're starting to look at Peacemaker and start to wonder, okay, now 2 seasons in, where it's going to start ranking among the top live action superhero shows of all time. I think we're now at that conversation because this has been a great story, and where they've left it, where you have Peacemaker, who's still reeling from last season, learning that this like interdimensional portal that his dad had in his room, that in the house that he now owns, also has doors to different parallel universes. One being a universe where his brother is still alive, which is the one he decides to stay in when he realizes that the one that he currently lives in, the world that we know, he's not getting the kind of the requited love back from Harcourt. The Argos and everyone is closing in on him, and he has this blood feud that Rick Flag Sr. has for him because of him killing Rick Flag Jr. in the Suicide Squad, and everything on the other side seems great. It's his brother's alive. He's got a relationship with Harcourt. His dad is alive. Obviously, his dad loves him, and his dad has a great relationship with him. And he ends up kind of accidentally killing himself in that universe to then take himself's place to live in that new universe. When his friends, who eventually track him down and try to get him out of there, learn that this is a world where the Nazis won World War II, and it's a world that I think ended up creating a lot of different twists that we didn't expect. I thought in the last episode the idea that Chris's dad in this universe is not a Nazi, is not a white supremacist. That he is someone who's trying to feels like he couldn't change history, so he just tried to do his best to just help people in the way he can. His brother, who we saw, as he tried to he got what's the name he was part of the mob that was running after
Keith
Daniel Brooks' character. Like
Adebayo,
he's Adebayo. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he clearly, even if his dad is not, he seems to be in line with like the racism that is transpiring. But I just think that what James Gunn is able to do with very unknown characters and to provide the story depth that he's able to pull out from a Peacemaker, a guy that seems very one note, I just think has been stellar. And I think it speaks to the strengths of James Gunn. This whole story arc and character that he's dove into all lends itself to James Gunn's strengths. The humor has been great. The action's been great. And the character moments have been great. Seeing Chris's growth. I mean, the scene with him in Harcourt, when she's trying to get him to come back and he's trying to get her to tell him that he loves her. And there's just been some beautiful acting. I think everyone's done a great job. It's overall been a phenomenal season as we enter into the season finale coming up here. Sham, what has been your thoughts on Peacemaker so far?
I thought it's been very good. You know, I guess I'm probably still putting it on par with the last season. But I thought it's been good. I thought, John Cena's greatest Peacemaker. Uh, the comedy has been on point. The action's been on point. Um, I think I probably like the antagonist for this season a little bit more, just because it's not we dealt with that whole butterfly, whatever those aliens were in last season. Um, but this, of course, you have the connections to Superman and stuff.
Project Butterfly.
Yeah, Project Butterfly. Um, so yeah, I think the antagonist for the season has been better with Rick Flag, obviously, and then Argus and it's people in this other universe. So it's definitely been a winding story, but it's been good. I thought the acting has been great. Um, excuse me, and yeah, I've been thoroughly satisfied. Um, I would say this season lends itself very well to like binge watching. Um,
I
just
agree
binge
with that,
watching
which
this
is
season.
interesting because I actually saw some people say that like, oh, this is a show that you actually wouldn't want to binge watch because of how the surprises that come up. I kind of disagree with that. I
Yeah,
had to binge
I very
watch it
much
to catch
disagree.
up. I thought this was a very bingeable show.
Yeah, very bingeable. Yeah,
same.
I just binged like 4 episodes over the past few days, so
Right.
it's very very bingeable. So yeah, this series has been very good. James Gunn is in his bag with this character, with his world. Um, he's very good at making these kinds of comical, but also action packed superhero content. So it's been very good, and then hopefully we get more stuff like this from him.
Yeah, kind of. How you felt about Peacemaker season 2 so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think Peacemaker's been awesome, man, and this is like a classic example of like Gunn clearly having way more influence. Obviously now as the head at DC than when season one came out, and
Yep.
he had some cachet, but not nearly the cachet that he has now to just drive everything creatively. Because season one was very, like I said, very contained, very in its own world. Like they had the Just League cameo, but like it was kind of goofy, and you didn't really see any of them, and felt like they were kind of playing in their own sandbox, but don't touch anything too crazy.
Yep.
And like now it's like we got full on Lex Luthor showing up, right?
Man.
And like Shabari said, plenty of cameos and plenty of references to Superman. The Lex Luthor scene is awesome.
Phenomenal scene.
Nicholas Holt obviously does a great job as Lex Luthor. Um, and you can clearly see the influence of like, yeah, now we can expand Peacemaker to any avenue and any nook and cranny we want to get to, we can do. There's no limitation there, so it's very obvious, and I think it very much only enhances the show. But yeah, John Cena has been excellent. He's really shown his range and his ability as an actor. The whole cast is awesome. The humor and the writing is great. Um, it reminds me a lot of Deadpool, where it's like, yes, it's very much a comedy and it's very funny, but like it allows itself to have a very good story as well in there.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean this finale is going to be interesting because it feels. I don't know if did you guys watch the preview to the next one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So like, it seems like it's just going all over the place, right? It kind of ended in a.
I believe it's James Gunn. James Gunn, I think, said it's an hour long.
It is an hour long, okay? Because I'm like, there's a lot they've got to seemingly have to unpack and kind of catch up on, and so that makes sense that it's a little bit longer. But there's been a lot of talk about James Gunn has referenced there's big cameos, and I think he meant beyond Lex Luthor, and so there's a lot of people speculating who could that be, what's considered big. Some people wondering, are we going to see Kumail Nanjiani debut as Booster Gold? Are we going to see Zolo Maraduena come back as Blue Beetle?
Yeah.
Are we going to see a debut of other DCU characters? Are we going to see live action versions of the Creature Commandos pop up? Like there's a lot of speculation. I think James Gunn said we're not getting GI Robot, if I'm not mistaken, from Creature Commandos, but he was one that a lot of people thought because of his affinity for taking out Nazis from that show. So it made a lot of sense. But it seems like we're not going back to that world anyway, so it makes sense that that wouldn't happen. But to me, yeah, I mean, I guess Blue Beetle will be the one that makes. And Gunn did reference. He did say in a Threads post that they asked him about cameos, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, look, we're gonna have plenty of big cameos, but like cameos are only good if they serve the story, and so it's not just gonna be a cameo just for a cameo." And so,
and that's what I've loved about these cameos, Kendall, is like Lex Luthor served the story, and the guy that showed up in the last episode, the head, basically portal guy. Who we saw, in the movie, who was trying to tell Lex when Lex was going too far with the portal stuff, like that he plays a role in this movie, like in this season, and it all made perfect sense with what's been going on.
The Justice Gang was a little bit more thrown in there. That was a little bit more.
They felt a little more forced than anything else, but
like that was like, okay, that didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, but it did send Peacemaker further into his like depression, like because he wants to try to show that he could be a legitimate superhero, and he did legitimately save the world. And here, the quote unquote greatest heroes of the world think of him as a joke. And it didn't serve no purpose, even though if I do think it was a little more artificially done. But the Lex scene made perfect sense, and also was again a great addition to this season. I totally agree.
You guys think maybe Waller's going to show up?
Waller, I mean, we had a Waller show that was supposed to be in the works.
Yeah,
it was announced, I believe.
And Waller did show up last season, right?
Yeah, with all the Adebayo stuff. I don't know if we saw her or if we heard her. I forgot.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know if it was a phone call.
I don't know why I thought she had some kind of, even if she was on TV or something like that, there was some kind of.
Yeah, I think she was in it.
Yeah,
because they revealed that she was the daughter, and like
and she basically blew up everything with Task Force X.
Right. Yes. So yeah, Waller. Honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's one that we almost certainly will get.
Waller would make
that makes a lot of sense. And Viola Davis is not like somebody that I feel like it's like no way I'm doing TV or no way.
No, I think Viola has a good relationship with James Gunn. I think that there's a high level of respect there. She showed up for anything James Gunn wanted her to do. So I think that there's no hesitation that she would show up for this.
Yeah, I mean,
again, that was one of the first things he announced.
Yeah, and it makes sense. That's she's a big part of the Harcourt situation with her being blackballed, and obviously Adebayo being her daughter, and
And they keep
whatnot.
referencing, Corto Maltese and Project
Yes.
Starfish or whatever they called it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this Rick Flag situation, she can probably kind of tie this whole thing up in a neat
Yeah.
bow, so to speak.
So yeah, I think that's one that makes a lot of sense. I've seen people maybe speculating like, will Blue Beetle maybe join the Justice Gang in this show at some point? Like, is that something where that would be, again, not necessarily something that is, as far as we know, like that wouldn't be something that is that may just be something that's more of a tease, as much as it is like something that's like related to the plot. But I would those would be the two that I would think would be most likely. It would be the best, I would think, in terms of making sense. Like I think Blue Beetle and Amanda Waller. I know I saw John Campia. Shout out to John Campia. He did a video and he threw out like Harley Quinn. I'm like, no way,
No,
it's
I
Margot
can't see
Robbie.
No,
He got into Henry Cavill. I'm like, come on now, what is this, Fantasyland? I mean, Henry
Cavill. What would Henry Cavill do? Superman? Yeah,
like
Henry Cavill
world
would
or
rather,
something.
yeah, like a multiverse. I think it was like a multiverse Superman, or like maybe even an Earth X Superman. I'm like, no way he does that.
Yeah. Well, Earth X so far, because I know people have been running to that, but Earth X so far, because people have been wondering if if like some of the Earth X and the Earth X in the DC universe, that's the world where the Nazis win. So there's like their version, and in that world, they win because the Kryptonian Superman is sent to Nazi Germany, not to Kansas. So,
Right.
But in that world, there's a Superman, there's a Batman. So people are wondering like if like their version of Batman shows up in this. But again, everything's been one for one. So that would mean that whoever plays this version of evil Nazi version of Batman would be what, like the Batman that's going to be in our universe, DCU. James Gunn's not going to make that kind of commitment this early, especially when people are so.
They also mentioned Momoa potentially we getting Jason Momoa as. Well, he mentioned Aquaman, which I see Lobo.
Oh, he's going back to the old. I don't think you got to worry about it.
I don't think the multiverse thing is going to be as big of a deal as maybe we think. But we could be wrong, right? We could come back here a week from now and be like, like that was crazy. Like we got so and so and this and that, and Nicolas Cage and Superman came back again. Something like that. But
I just want to make some acting shout outs. I mean, you mentioned John Cena. I think he's been phenomenal. Like, I mean, the last episode, I mean, the scene where like you see you want to talk about great physical acting, like and facial acting, like him seeing his dad get killed again, this time by Adrian. Yeah. And then him seeing his brother being killed by his friends and like him yelling stop, like it was gripping for me to watch. I was like, he's doing an incredible job. Jennifer Holland, I think I feel for Jennifer Holland, and I respect the role she's doing because she's doing this role in a way that this feels like someone who's trying to. I'm not saying overcompensate because she's doing a great job. There's nothing overcompensating about what she's doing. But she is going so hard to prove to everybody that she is not just in this job because her husband is the one that created this show. And I saw her talk about her physical workout regimen she went into to get, because I mean, you see, she looks like she could be in WWE. I mean, she's ridiculously ripped in the season. And she said that she did that in part because, she wanted to be believable that hardcore actually fight big, strong men, and it'd be believable that she could win some fights or at least hold her own. But to forget about the physical toll she put herself through to get to this season, again, her acting, I think, has definitely leveled up in a way that is much different than what we saw in season 1 and in the Suicide Squad. So she deserves a shout out. And Steve Agee playing Economos, he is like one of the funniest characters, I think, in all of any live action superhero thing. I mean, him when Peacemaker and Hardcore show up, and he's like, "Where have you guys been? I mean, I don't know who you guys are. Why did you bring them to me?" And like he like, I don't know, like James Gunn just gets that character. He gets that character, and
1000%.
Steve gets the character too. Like when you see it, I love seeing a filmmaker, writer / and a actor just be so in sync on what they're trying to accomplish with a certain role and to just nail it every time the person opens their mouth. that guy nails it every time. Every time he talks, I want to laugh because he's so funny. He really does feel like just the guy in the chair that really doesn't want to be here, shouldn't be here, and like is questioning every decision he has made that got to this point. I just think Steve Agee deserves a massive shout out because I think he's been the unsung hero of this season because it's a season that's been dark in many ways, and he's been hilarious all throughout the entire season.
Another one is Freddie Stroma as Adrian Chase, and I mean, talk about Vigilante as a character, having two iconic performances in live action. Might be the most pure comic book character to have two separate iconic performances between
entirely
Josh Segura and Arrow. Entirely different takes on the character. I mean, I remember we were disappointed when we were like, Vigilantes in this thing? Like, what? Adrian Chase? Like, they're retconning? I mean, they're not retcon, but it's just like, what? Like, you know, we're not going to bring Josh Segura in and just telling him to play that character? Like, it was just like, what is this? And it ended up, like, again, arguably being better. And it's for a different reason, but, like, you know, and initially, and people joked a lot about how, like, he wasn't even supposed to be the Adrian Chase. Like, there was another guy that, I don't remember who, but there was another guy that was supposed to be Adrian Chase. There was some sort of scheduling conflict.
I can't imagine who else could have played this role, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm like, he does, like, it's like a kind of a rip on Deadpool, but it's so well done. And yeah, I mean, again, the entire cast.
He has a meme now that's gonna last forever. When he sees his doppelganger, he's sitting there, he's like, "Are you effing kidding me?" Like, I've now seen that meme every day, pretty much since that episode a couple weeks ago came out. But it's a perfect. I mean, he's so good. He's so good. He's so funny as well.
I mean, the scene of him walking through his house, the alternate version of his house, is just so funny.
And he's like, my dad's not gay in this world. And he just keeps
he sees the Cheerios box and it's like, you know, I mean, that scene, the scene when in the beginning of the last episode when Cena, like, when, you know, Hardcore is grilling Cena, how did you not realize we were in a Nazi world? So you didn't see the Hitler mural? He's like, I don't know, I probably should have seen that one.
I should have
It's so funny.
Yeah, the first one was the Mein Kampf on the Mein Kampf.
Yeah, the Mein Kampf on the desk.
Like, you think I get this strong reading books?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, what about the Hitler mural? He's like, that I probably should have seen. I'd be very curious. Listen, obviously we're in a very tense political world. I'd be very curious what James Gunn's view is of all of these characters, because there's a lot of commentary, and Adebayo has a comment being like, in many ways, like, this world isn't all that much different than the world maybe we're currently living in, which is an absolute commentary on the world we're living in presently, right? But I'd be very fascinated what his view and read is on these characters, and because Hardcore grills Chris on not realizing he's in the Nazi world, and then like Adebayo, like, he's like, when Judo Master is like he thought this world was so great, how could he be such a great person? He's like, he probably honestly didn't notice, and that is a thing that people discuss a lot, where like, is it a character flaw, or is there some kind of is it even possible for someone to live in a world that is so effed up and not have a take on it, or not know anything about it, not be aware of it? And to me, James Gunn is clearly putting that front and center between not just Chris, but also again, by Augie, Chris's dad, who, like, I'd be very curious. Like, does he see Augie as like a heroic figure? Because the reaction to Augie on the internet, I think was more negative than maybe James meant for it to be. A lot of people were like, "So you mean you had to build a interdimensional portal and all this tech, but you couldn't? You had no means at all to try to fight the injustice of what was happening?"
No, I think that was a commentary on, like, there's people out here, in our world, and that that really feel like they mean well, but also feel like they don't have the strength or the anything to change. You can't change everything. right? And if you can't change everything, then you just live your life and you kind of fight the fights that you can fight, and you just keep moving forward, right? And that's, again, there's really no right answer, but like it was just a very interesting commentary on like on like the bystander effect, and is that is that like you said, a character flaw, or are you a bad person in that in that space? Like, it's a very interesting conversation, but in both cases, I thought, like you said, very interesting writing.
Yeah, and I was kind of sitting and thinking about this a little bit earlier today, even because I've like kind of seen like a couple different versions of stories like this. I know, obviously, EJ pointed out the kind of the DC historical precedent for having this kind of story.
Yeah, Earth X being a thing in
the
comics.
Earth X story. I've seen like a good portion of the Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime, and then there's the Wolfenstein video games as well, where there's like, oh, what if the Nazis won?
What if the
like,
Nazis
what
won?
would happen like that? And it's this one. This one is very different in that everything is very peaceful, which is very strange. Like everything's so zen. Everyone's so happy.
Right.
And I was like, at first I was like, man, I don't know how I feel about this. I was like, why is everything so great when the Nazis win? Why is everyone so happy? Whereas in the other ones that I've seen, everyone is not happy. It is very much like it is a brutal regime.
Well, to be fair, we say yes. The in theory, yes, everybody's happy, peaceful, but we do see like a violent uprising.
There's a point of view,
right. So there's I guess right where like
if we watched it from like vigilantes are. Yeah, vigilantes are
vigilante is part of the Sons of Liberty, right?
Yes,
right.
Which is such a funny name, right? Because in our world, like Sons of Liberty would mean some ultra, militia group, some crazy militia group. But like,
right, exactly.
In their world, like, it is technically a militia group, but it's on the complete opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah,
it makes logical sense.
Made the twist so well because you're watching this thing, just not even thinking like, oh,
yeah,
like.
You're like, oh, you're in the Sons of Liberty. You're like, oh yeah, you're a Nazi too, right? It's like,
yeah, right. No, yeah, you don't even think like, oh, this is on the other side. I'll be honest. A lot of people were. I got to credit the people who were equal-eyed. Maybe because I watched this at like I did a binge that started at like 10 p.m. Last Friday night, not this Friday, but last Friday night, trying to catch up on one of these episodes. So maybe it was me. Like, but I like that twist of it being a Nazi world just totally took me off. I just did not
I guess people had been speculating. I was so behind that like I wasn't like you. I wasn't really following the clues, right? Like by the time I saw some of these clues play out, like it had already been established in the public that it was they're doing a Nazi thing. But having watched it, I'm like, no way I would have caught that. And it would have been very interesting to watch some of these people's videos theorizing on, I think this might be Earth X. And people, again, really eagle-eyed. The most obvious one just being like, there's no black people in this world, right? There's no people of color in this world like that. That already is a little weird, but like,
also it's Hollywood, right?
And it's Hollywood. Some instances, you're like, what state are they in, right? Like if they're in Utah, like I wouldn't expect there to be like, so like there's just it doesn't. That's not an automatic.
There's some parts of this country.
Yeah, some parts of the country where that's what's going
to in this world.
Yeah, but they said they were in Washington, right? But like, but it just depends on where you're at. Like, it doesn't matter, you're not going to see anybody. But there's like you said, there's some eagle-eyed people that had this theory and stuck with it, and they were 100% right. But been some interesting.
I mean, even the opening dance sequence, with the people with so many of the right angle type movements and how they created. What looked like
you see the controversy that's been going on with Fortnite. They had to remove the Peacemaker emote from Fortnite because when that episode got revealed, people were like, "Oh, so the emote was a swastika," and so Fortnite removed it and apologized. They ended up putting it back.
Didn't they put it back on?
Yeah, but they changed it so that he's not doing that anymore, stuff like that. So
okay,
it's very interesting. It's very interesting how that played out. Some people was James Gunn in hot water for this. I'm like, James Gunn never said that it was a swastika. I mean, as far as we know, like, it doesn't necessarily do that. It's just a little similar.
Yeah. No, it's been a great season, man. I can't wait for the season finale. I'm sure we'll be talking about that along with your Comic Con this upcoming week. Hey guys, any last thoughts on Comic Con and what you're excited for?
I mean, I'm looking forward to the Marvel panel. Obviously, we got a lot of comic book panels, Marvel comic book panels. I think we have a few DC ones, I believe, as well.
I
And
love, by the way, not to cut you off, Shamari,
yeah,
but you talk about DC Comics. I love these memes that are going out around about the absolute DC, the absolute version of because after the absolute Joker reveal, where he's like this like lizard monster thing, like there's now these jokes about like, oh, this is the
yeah,
absolute
Joker, yeah.
so and so, like, and like, you know, like absolute Deathstroke. Someone had to be an absolute Deathstroke, and it was Jeffrey Epstein because like Deathstroke's got this like he's got this history with being with
yeah.
underage people, and so just like
Yeah,
it's like absolute
with Tara, yeah.
Yeah, with Tara, it's just like absolute Deathstroke.
it's crazy.
I'm like,
That's
stuff is crazy,
nuts.
bro. But it's there's other versions of it too. But regardless, I'm assuming that we're going to get more updates with the absolute DC universe.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. We got a few DC Comics panels. Yeah, and there's other like miscellaneous things, some movie panels, Game of Thrones panel, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Invincible panel. I know we haven't really talked like Invincible much on this show, but that's something else as well. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. So yeah, a lot of stuff to look forward to, and also hopefully Repop can get their reservation system fixed because it's very broken and it feels very much not fair. So they got to get that joint fixed.
Yeah, Repop, man, y'all gotta get your act together, or Repop, or Comic Con, or ShowClicks. Like ShowClicks is garbage. It's not good. It really screws a lot of fans out. You know, us trying to reserve for panels was a disaster for a second year in a row, basically because of the ineptitude of the actual service. I really hope that they find a way to do something different. I know before there was a reservation system where you show up early and they just pat your badge and then you were reserved. I know it was annoying for folks because you had to wake up early and get there early, but I think it's a lot better than what we have with this system. This system is just broken. It just doesn't work. So we're gonna do our best to get to all the big panels. We can't guarantee we're getting everything. We're not reserved for everything, but we're definitely hope for that. But I am definitely excited about this Marvel television panel. You know, the Daredevil was just renewed for season 3. So season 2, obviously, we've already seen it's already seen being shot, and now season 3 has already been renewed. That was, I would say, to be expected, but Charlie Cox made a couple of comments weeks ago. Made a couple of weird comments about like this last season. No, the last season. I guess maybe he meant just the last season they were shooting, not the last season ever, or maybe he just wanted to have fun. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. In Britain, maybe they say last, meaning like most recent.
yeah. I mean, they do that in America too, but it confused everybody. Right. All we saw was like, wait, there's only 2 seasons of Daredevil. What the hell? So all be good. We're there for that. So I'm sure we'll get something on Daredevil. And anything else that may be announced, I'm sure X-Men 97 will get something as well. We did get X-Men 97 thing a couple of years ago. So I would expect to see some cool stuff in the Marvel panel. I don't know if Kendall was anything else you were looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Marvel, I mean, like you said, X-Men 97, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Wonder Man is something I would expect. We get our first trailer to Wonder Man as well. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2, something I expect we get a first look at. And maybe even Vision Quest. We haven't seen anything from Vision Quest. And so I'm curious how that's going to play out. But I believe my camera just went off. So if I'm not moving, that's the last you've seen from me.
Well, I think that's a good place to leave. That's a good place to leave it then, though. So, I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this edition of New Generation Hero Talk. Of course, you can catch all of our shows on New Generation Podcast Network. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcast. Also, be sure to check us out on YouTube, New Generation Media, where you'll find our episodes there. Follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, New Generation Pod, Instagram, New Generation Podcast. You can find us also individually on social media. Kendall can be found on X, New Gen Ken. You can find Shamari on Instagram and Snapchat, MCSham22. You can find me on X, EJ_Stewart, Instagram and TikTok, Action EJ. That'll do it for now. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. For Shamari, for Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.